بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين واللعنة الدائمة الأبدية على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. So basically we were doing the questions and answer in the annex section of the Manasik al-Hajj, the obligations of Tawaf and the interruption in the obligations of the Tawaf. So we were answering some questions related to the interruptions, obligation of Tawaf, and we finished question number 34. So today, now we are going to do question number 35. So امرأة التحقت بزوجها في الطواف. Wife joined her husband in Tawaf. So when she completed the 6th round, that means she reached Hajar al-Aswad, 6th round, okay? خرج زوجها, her husband left. فاستأنت في الطواف من جديد. So what she got, she said, oh. So she said that, let me do my Tawaf from the beginning. She has done 6, and we said once you are in Tawaf, you are stuck. You can't just decide to break it and this and that unless if there is a valid reason to do so. So she left. I mean, the guy left. Maybe they fought in the Tawaf, I don't know. Maybe they were doing Tawaf and suddenly the guy left. And she now she did the whole Tawaf again, the 7 rounds. Don't ask me for the reasons. Whatever reasons might be, fight or insult or whatever, the husband got angry, upset. The question says kharaja zawja, that the husband left. She did the whole tawaf back again. Maybe she was not happy. She said, no, let me do my own tawaf by myself. I don't want that husbandy tawaf. So now we have a situation. We said that once you're in, getting out of the tawaf is not as getting in the tawaf. Okay. So what does that mean? That means there needs to be a kind of valid reason for you, or you need to break the previous tawaf. And breaking the previous tawaf was one of the methods, was that not breaking the wudu. Breaking the wudu, still you can do the wudu and come back. However, and it depends on the which round, complete after completion of the 4th round or not. But here, the mualat, breaking the mualat is only situation. And imagine the answer is, after doing all these questions, as you'll know that, oh, it will have to do something with the mualat. Okay. And that's it. So he says, if she redid her tawaf, the whole 7 round after the 6 rounds. So if she had left the 6 rounds due to the one of the invalidators of tawaf, okay, there are things that invalidate the salat, such as what, Sayyidina? Such as breaking the consistency, breaking the muwalat, the commonly considered consistency, okay, or the continuity. Okay, so if so sahha tawafa, the new round, 7 rounds will be okay, because the 6th round got messed up due to the breaking of the consistency. Maybe she chased the guy. Come on, please don't go, don't leave me alone, and this and that. And the guy went into Safa and Marwa area and got lost, and then she kept looking for him, and then she said, okay, just let me do my tawaf to heaven with him. Okay, so anyhow, so she did her tawaf. So he says, in that case, if she did one of the invalidators of tawaf, okay, not the round, tawaf itself, so then her second tawaf will be okay. And such as what? Such as missing the consistency required as an obligation in tawaf. What if it was not missed? What if it was less than 10 minutes? She decided, okay, to continue to bring a new tawaf. So he says that otherwise, if the muwalat was not missed, if she did not bring any of the invalidators of tawaf, then it will be problematic to consider the 7 rounds after the 6th round to be correct and valid. It will be problematic. The validity of the second tawaf with the 7 rounds um, will be problematic. That means obligatory precaution. She needs to redo that or refer to some other marja. Unless, remember, the unintentional unawareness, unintentional ignorance. If she was not aware about this thing as problematic, and she was one of those who would ask, and there are many women, they ask about their ahkam. So and it never encountered in her mind. Okay, she never doubted that this is situation where my tawaf is messed up and those kind of things. So in that case, her tawaf will be correct. But if she was not, if she was intentionally unaware, ignorant about these rulings, then because this is all ignorance about the ruling, so then in that case, the tawaf will be invalid, obligatory, precautionary, invalid. Question number 36. Let's see. A person started his tawaf and reached Hajar Ismail. Remember, Hajar Ismail starts from here, this corner, the arch. Once he reached there, he decided to cancel his round which he was in it. So, which was that round? It was the first round. So that means he started the tawaf from Hajar al-Aswad, reached Hajar Ismail, and cancelled it. He said, let me cancel this segment. Okay. From Hajar al-Aswad to Hajar al-Ismail, like one side of the Kaaba. And he came back to Hajar al-Aswad and started a new round. However, in the 7th round, he did not complete to Hajar al-Aswad. Okay, 7th round, he just left from here. Anyhow, he did not complete the entire round. بل أكمل الشوط الأول الذي أعرض عنه. So he decided, because he thought this is a bank, like I canceled that. But then that segment stays. You can't cancel the tawaf. Okay. So what he said, okay, then if I will complete till Hajj al-Aswad, then what will happen? That I have done 7.5 round or 7 1/4 round. So I've increased intentionally. Okay. Uh, so what he did not complete the 7th round. لكنه في الشوط السابع, 7th round, he did not complete the 7th round. He completed from where? From this place where he stopped. So from Hajar Ismail, thinking that's still in his record. Okay, that's still in his record. So what he did, 6 complete round, and 7th round he started from Hajar Ismail, like bank balance. I still have a balance of this much, so I don't need to do the whole round. So I'm going to start from this one. And obviously, what is the ruling of this? Obviously, kiss your tawaf goodbye. The tawaf will become invalid. All the tawaf, not one round. Question number 37. During the tawaf, people, they make circles. Like, caravans, they come. They are responsible for the validity of the tawaf of the people in the caravan. So they make a round of the men who are mahram, and they put all the women inside, and at the edge of the women group there are these mahram to the men who are making the circle. So mahram in between, the non-mahram women stacked all of them in the middle, and they hold very tight grip. You see, they don't want any woman to be lost from inside. And many times there are weak men also, and weak women also. So they make these circles, uh, and this causes disturbance and annoyance and bothering and hurting to other people who are performing the tawaf. So that kind of thing sometimes hurts other people who are doing tawaf. Is this permissible? Okay. So during the tawaf, some of the groups, caravans, they come and they form circles, and they surrounding the women and the weak ones in the middle of it. Um, uh, However, in this method, many people they are hurt, and they are disturbed or annoyed. Okay, who are doing tawaf. So is it permissible? He said, as long as this annoyance and disturbance, that's the tawaf, that's a war zone. As long as these things are not seriously annoying and known, I mean, people, you get this kind of, they just go, everybody's worried about their tawaf mostly. Okay, you'll not see, you got a kick of elbow of somebody and you'll stand and fight then, even if you say something, hajj 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 hajj, or hajj, continue your hajj. Okay, and you have to observe patience. So there is these kind of, especially the more you get closer to the wall of the Kaaba, okay, the more you get these kind of looks and these kind of or these kind of annoyance expressions from others, like they are the one, they are descended from the heavens. When they start kicking and pushing, there's no problem. But these poor guys who are doing the tawaf in this circle, and it starts sometimes to squeeze on upon some of the people, or then they, so he says, if it was in the acceptable limits, okay, especially in the crowded times, then there is no problem. So there's accepted, which is normal to be. Now these kind of things, like I'll give you an example. For example, if you work somewhere in winter, for example, and it's snowing, and you're working in gas station with the snow, that's also harmful. But that's in the common consideration, it's acceptable norm of annoyance or disturbance. It's not something extreme. If it becomes extreme, you should not be, you should be preventing yourself from extreme. So there are many times things which are, people, they don't want to harm you. These people who have, they have made the circle, they don't intend to harm you. They want to secure their people from getting lost, especially women and elders. And those people who are being annoyed and they start giving you looks, okay, of anger and looks of annoyance, if it is just looks, it's normal that you will see a lot there. People, they get annoyed and then they have to observe sabr, and then, so everybody has certain things, issues happening there, so that you have to be on your subhaniyat and do your tawaf. So there is some norm. It's normal there in crowded areas. You will see the people, they think that you are hurting them. You will think that they are hurting you and they are annoying you. Just carry on with your tawaf. That's the test of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Remain your human morals and humanity with you. Don't become animals. Like if some people, they become animalistic nature or something like that, you maintain your spiritual and human nature, because those people who also become like animalistic angry, and maybe they have also an excuse. Maybe they had a long trip, an exhausted trip, and this and that, and now they face this kind of thing, and they have never ever been in this so crowded place. So think about somebody who has never been and now he's kept in this. What will happen? Obviously, they will be annoyed. Okay, so this type of thing is normal, but once they get used to it, they forget about it. Yes, so if it was in in reasonable limits, which are known in common consideration, normally such kind of annoyance happens in the tight, tight, crowded times. Okay, the time of the where everything is crowded, then there is no problem in it. Otherwise, if it was going to cause serious harm to other, then one should avoid. Okay? You don't want people to get injured just because you have made halakha, and that does not happen. But let's say if you were from those bodybuilders surrounding these women, and anybody wants to come, you give him a kick of elbow and this, and you smash like that, you become Batman there. No, that is not right. You see, that is not known into common consideration. That is like literally you're creating a war zone. No, that Baba, he wants to cross. Tell them politely, we have women. You don't have to smack them, or and some of them, they see you in a group of like 20, 30. They want to cross the group intentionally, and you have to tell them politely. And they insist. You have to tell them politely. Don't smash them, smack them. Sometimes they will push. That's fine. Defend your push. So these kind of things sometimes they are normal. Okay. They get annoyed. You get annoyed. These kind of things happen. Uh, but don't hurt anybody. That is not normal. To start pushing this guy who's breaking your circle, to start hurting this guy who's trying to break your circle. No, that is not allowed. So that's why he said that if it was going to cause serious harm, okay, and it was beyond the limits, then one should avoid these circles. Question 38. During the time of tawaf, it's all about the rush. During tawaf, one if one reaches to the area of heavily crowded area, and especially which is in between the corner of the Hajar al-Aswad and Maqam Ibrahim, that's very tight area, and there is a pressure on the women, and too much squeezing happens from men and women. Okay, the women, they squeeze the men they come and squeeze women, like because of the crowd, and the body parts are touched. And I'm being frank, okay, but unintentionally, nobody wants to touch your body parts. I don't think so. The woman, they get squeezed to you, and the men squeeze to the woman, that they're interested in body parts. They're all in their tawaf, and subhanallah, we need to give benefit of doubt as well. Okay, so the men and women, they get squeezed into each other in that crowded area. I have seen with my eyes. Okay, I keep my fence. Nobody comes closer to me. My elbow is like my defense, and in front I have also, behind I have my backpack. In front I have this, my hands like this. So I'm always like securing myself from being touched by. No one touches me. So you can do that. I mean, so so in this case, is it necessary for a person to do the tawaf behind Maqam Ibrahim? Remember, between Maqam Ibrahim and the wall of the Kaaba is recommended precaution to Sayyid al-Khuin, Sayyid al-Sistani. But some Maraja, it's obligation. However, for them also, if it becomes crowded like that, it is you can go behind the Maqam. But for Sayyid al-Sistani, it's from the beginning an option. There's not like, oh, you have to do in between. If it's crowded, you go. No, you don't have to do in the middle of Maqam Ibrahim and that. You can do optionally behind Maqam Ibrahim. However, it's recommended precaution even if it was crowded, as we mentioned in previous ruling. He says there's no problem in being in that crowd and rush between men and women, like squeezing each other and this kind of thing. Squeezing, nobody brings their hands out and squeezes. No, it's just like body of men. They squeeze there's a woman that there's men from here squeezing men for, and unintentionally, you see, the guy stops because there's a crowd in front and there's a woman behind and there's a guy behind so sometimes that squeezy situation happens, that you will find a woman surrounded by four men squeezing for four sides, and sometimes it's men like a chicken in between this four women surrounding, like a rooster or some whatever, like surrounded by women from here. Even you try your best, there are some moments you will get these kind of, but it's not intentional. Nobody does it. It's just like when you come closer to Hajj al-Aswad, there's people, they stop there and they want to say salams to Hajj al-Aswad, and that's where all these domino effect happens. One pushes this pushes this, and the pushing, and people, they push that, people, come on, move. I mean, why are you standing there, you see? So this is the kind of thing that nobody does these kind of thing intentionally. It's just because of the crowd these quizzes happen. That's why he said that there's no problem in the rush and the heavily crowded and this touching of the men and women with each other, which in a known, in a commonly known situation. You see, it's just because of shoulders touching. It's not like people are touching in a wrong, lustful way. Okay. Um, yeah. So it's like shoulders touching this guy. It's just like a normal thing. على النحو الدارج والمتعارف. ما لم, as long as the rubbing, okay, is not a prohibited type. Okay, the one which is, as I mentioned, which no one does that. But if people become like, I don't know, I mean, I can't picture that, because people are busy in there. They have come to Umrah, they're wearing ihram, and they just want to do this ibadat and get it done with. You see, so there is rubbing. If the rubbing and the squeezing and the touching was in a way, in a prohibited manner, then yes, you should go out. Women should go out, not women, even men. If the women are going to touch him in a prohibited manner, then he should go out behind the Maqam Ibrahim. I mean, not necessarily behind the Maqam Ibrahim. You should go wherever there's less crowd and these kind of things are not happening. Okay. So, I mean, it's rarely to think that if you're Mr. Handsome and your biceps are out and your muscles are out, and you find some crazy women, they come and they surround you and they start touching your shoulder, and it's far away from because people are exhausted. People are doing ibadah. People, they want to finish the 7th round and they will not stand there to do like those kind of things. Yeah, and it's a test of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for everybody. You're my guest, you're visiting me, or you're doing the haram stuff. So he says that if it did not reach to the limit of haram and prohibited touching and intentional touching and those kind of things which are prohibited, the rubbing of the bodies and the touching of the bodies in a prohibited manner, then you can do the tawaf in that area. But if it becomes in a prohibited manner, go out. You're a man or you're a woman. You should not be there. If you feel that there are some women harassing you, go out. If you feel that there's a man harassing you, go out. Okay? This is not where you need to be. But if people are in their own, it's okay. And it is not, if this is not, if prohibition is not there, then you can do the tawaf it is not obligatory for you to just because to these normal touching, the touching which is norm, shoulder to shoulder, and these kind of touchings happen. It is not obligatory for you to go behind Maqam Ibrahim to avoid. However, I know many of our daughters and many of our sisters, they don't like this being touched by men, shoulder, even shoulder to shoulder. It's like to them. And then I respect that. I mean, that's how women they need to feel. They can't go barge in themselves inside men and being touched and this and that. Even their intentions are not bad, but the situation is not like. So many of our respected women they have this bashfulness and shamefulness and haya. And I know some men they don't do tawaf there. One of our Mu'min brother, he said that no, I can't do tawaf inside. The women they did one round, and I don't know, maybe it was Mr. Hanson, Mr. Versace, or Superman or whatever. And he said every time I saw women surrounding. Like maybe it was like Yusuf phenomena, salamullah alayh. So he just said, I prefer to do tawaf away because I come here, there are women. I come there, women, women, women. Maybe he was also little bit sickish that he always thought about women. 'Cause obviously you'll find women everywhere and men everywhere. It's everybody's mixed there. So so why do you just keep your attention on women? So anyhow, we give benefit of doubt, inshallah, because you don't know who was that. But I told him that why were you focusing too much that women touching? Why didn't you focus on men touching? The no men were touching? Oh, there were men touching. No, but I prefer, yeah, then it's your choice. Do from outside. But don't say only women were touching you. Question number 39. Oh my goodness. Here we go again. If a person who's performing tawaf touched body of a woman out of lust, that's sick. Okay. فَلْيَبْطُلْ طَوَافُهُ. uh, will his tawaf be invalid? The tawaf will not be invalid. So this is not one of the obligations of tawaf. But yes, you have committed haram. How can he committed haram? His tawaf is not tawaf be valid still? He's committed haram. Well, the same thing in the fast. If you lie, you committed haram. But lying doesn't have anything to do with fasting. Yeah, your reward will go down. You will not get rewarded because of the sin you did. But will it consider that you have fulfilled your wajib of fasting? Yes. Will it be considered that you have fulfilled your tawaf? Yes. But then you committed haram, which requires istighfar and an apology to this poor woman. Question number 40, it's worse. إذا أمسك الطائف في أثناء الطواف بيد امرأة متلذذا. This guy is crazy. If he touches the hand of a woman, he's doing tawaf and he saw a woman, mashallah, beauty queen, he touched the hand with lust. فهل يؤثر ذلك في صحة طوافه? Will it affect the validity of his tawaf? Sayyidi Sistani says it will not affect. But obviously you have committed a serious sin. Okay? Yani, are you visiting Allah or visiting shaitan? It seems that shaitan is with you. So these kind of things are too sickish. I mean, this guy is really sick that he touches a hand of a woman with lust. Will that affect the validity of his tawaf? It will not affect the validity. However, what kind of tawaf, what kind of reward is remaining? Okay. Question number 41. Now, this is a guy who's afraid of losing his calories. Like that guy who's on treadmill, He's doing the treadmill and eating ice cream. A cup of ice cream is in his hands. Anyhow, so this guy is eating and drinking during tawaf, eating sandwich or uh, drinking cola or something like that. Whatever. I mean, eating and drinking during tawaf. Is it permissible? Question 41. Is it permissible to eat and drink during tawaf? He says it's permissible. However, he should not be preoccupied with those things, with eating and drinking. Okay. I don't know how this guy is. Maybe he's very hungry. Let's give him a benefit of doubt. Question number 42. Okay. This happens a lot. So let's focus on this. إذا تأخر السعي. He did the tawaf of Umrah or tawaf of Hajj. He did the 2 rakat, and now once he was going to go for the sa'i, they closed the sa'i. And it happened to me also. It happens to many. They just closed the sa'i. Why? Because of the heavy crowd in the sa'i area, Safa Marwa. Okay, in a way that they cannot have more flux of people coming to the sa'i. And that's good. It's of a protection for the people. So the sa'i is closed. And many times people call me, oh, Sheikh, the sa'i area is closed. I said, wait until it opens. So what should I do? This and that. No need to panic. You have 1 day. If you do the tawaf in the morning, you can do the tawaf Dhuhr time. And so you have a 1 day period. The consistency between tawaf and salat tawaf and sa'i is not 10 minutes or no, it's more wider. You can leave a bigger gap, but it needs to be in the same day. Tawaf and 2 rakat tawaf and sa'i between Safa and Marwa needs to be in the same day. Tawaf and Nisa, you can do it in the second day, third day, whenever. It's but so the consistency required for tawaf, less than 10 minutes. Okay, gap no more than 10 minutes. 9 minutes is max. Okay, 10 minutes invalid. So no more than 9 minutes between the rounds of the tawaf. Consistency required between Salat al-Tawaf and Salat al-Tawaf, 10 minutes. Okay, the same thing. Don't let it reach 10 minutes. Keep it in 9. Consistency requires between Tawaf and Sa'i between Safa and Marwa, 1 day. In 1 day, you need to finish both. Consistency requires after Sa'i and Taqsir and Tawaf and Nisa, take your time as long as the caravan doesn't leave without you doing Tawaf and Nisa. Okay. So he says if the sa'i was delayed because they closed the sa'i area until next day, maybe there was a construction going on. See, the question is next day because the questioner knows that it should be done in the same day. However, whatever long gap, it doesn't matter as long as it's in the same day. So is it obligatory upon him to redo the tawaf, or that is forgiven, that kind of gap due to the blockage of the sa'i area? It's not in his hand. He wanted to do, but they blocked it, they closed it. So so is it pardoned, that kind of blockage, to delay? Is it permissible to delay the sa'i next day when they open, whenever he's able to, or he needs to redo the tawaf and the salat of tawaf? He says لا تجب إعادته في فرض وجود العذر في التأخير. It is not obligatory to redo the tawaf and 2 rakat of tawaf when there is an excuse in the delay of sa'i. Not in his hand. It's out of his hand. Question number 43. هل يجوز الطواف في المناطق المسقفة في أطراف المسجد عند إغلاق صحنه? So once the open platform of tawaf is closed, they don't allow you to go there when it's heavily crowded. So then you have to do tawaf in the covered area of the Masjid al-Haram, which we said it is also part of the masha as long as part of the mataf platform of tawaf. So, but it's covered as long as it is what? It is the Kaaba. It's below the level of the Kaaba. Okay, not above the level of the Kaaba. So Mizanian is we can say. So it is permissible when the obviously it's permissible. The issue comes for Salat al Tawaf. We're going to discuss that later on. إذا كان القسم المسقف يحيط بصحن المسجد من جميع أطرافه. If the covered area of Masjid al-Haram is open totally surrounding the around the Kaaba, not closed, because sometimes they close for construction, so you can't continue. That open area is blocked. So if the open area makes you make a round around the Kaaba, even from far away, okay, under the shaded area of Masjid Haram, in a way that you are able to make a circumambulation around the Kaaba uh, from far, then there is no problem in it. Absolutely. So tawaf is done. And Salat al-Tawaf, come behind Maqam Ibrahim and pray, though you have to come down. But let's say you are not able to come down in that 10 minutes. Okay? Then we are going to discuss further. So in some cases, you can delay as long as the excuse is not in your hand. Okay, the area is closed. You can't go down, and you can't leave a gap between the tawaf and two rakat tawaf more than 10 minutes. So just pray behind Maqam Ibrahim from that area, and let someone down go behind Maqam Ibrahim and pray on your behalf. We are going to discuss this further. There are some conditions for that as well. We're going to discuss that in when we finish tawaf and enter the topic of salat of tawaf. Yeah, so there's no problem. Question 44. A person performed Umrah al-Mufrada. That means he did the tawaf, two rakat tawaf, and he did what? The sa'i. No, he did the tawaf, okay, and sa'i. What is remaining? Tawafun nisa, the tawaf of the women. So that tawaf nisa is remaining. ومنع من الطواف في صحن المسجد. And he was prevented to perform the tawaf in the open area of the tawaf. ماذا يعمل? What should he do? The questioner asked like, بحيث أنه متزوج. That guy is married, not unmarried. ولا يعلم متى يرفع الحظر. It doesn't know when will this blockade for the platform of tawaf will be opened. So he can't do tawaf in the open area, tawaf al-nisa. Okay. So the answer, tawaf al-nisa, the women will not be permissible for him. That means halal women. That means wife, obviously. Okay. So the women, the spouse will not be permissible for him. His wife will not be permissible for him. His wife is wife. The marriage contract does not break, but those lustful things are prohibited. So she will not become permissible. That means whatever the lustful activities are between men and women, they will not be permissible until he performs the tawaf by himself or represents someone to perform the tawaf on his behalf. But he says, having however, if the covered area surrounding the Kaaba, okay, from all the sides in a way that he could perform a circumambulation around the great Kaaba was feasible, then there's no problem in performing the tawaf from there, like previous ruling. Question number 45. Is it permissible to perform the salat and the tawaf in something which is doubtful in its being slaughtered out of so it is permissible to wear in the salat or tawaf, salat of tawaf, uh, is it permissible to wear during the salat and tawaf, salat and tawaf, something, a leather which is doubtful in the animals and the animals slaughter being halal and haram? That means in doubtful leather. Doubtful leather means you don't know it's halal or haram. The animal was slaughtered properly or not. So he wore that and performed the tawaf out of forgetfulness or out of unawareness. He did not wear it intentionally. He says it doesn't affect, I mean, it's doubtful leather is permissible to wear in Salah for Sayyid Sistani, Damadullah. Sayyid al-Khuy had serious problem. Other Maraja have problems. He says, Tasuhani mutlaqa. Salat will be valid in any case, without unforgetfulness, knowingly, unknowingly, and the tawaf also will be valid. So many times, you know, the backpack strap has a leather, or you have the purse which has leather. Things you wear sometimes it has leather. That leather is doubtful that has the animal been slaughtered properly or not. Question 46. So this person during the tawaf, okay, and during the crowd, his direction was, you know, you have to make a round. So somehow his like he was doing tawaf like this and he went like that. And then so he did a wiggly tawaf or wiggly line or something like that. The route got messed up due to the crowd. Okay. So during the tawaf, the route got messed up of the tawaf. He did the tawaf and the route got messed up. And after the a'mal of Hajj, he remembered that the route had got messed up. But he doesn't know that whether he fixed that that problem which happened in his route during the tawaf or not. So it's a case of doubt. He might have fixed it. He might not have fixed it. So it's a case of doubt. And when is this doubt? After completing the Hajj. So he says, what is the ruling of my Hajj? Obviously, we said whenever you doubt in the validity after completing the act, then it is considered okay. So he says, you will base on the validity of your Hajj. Question 47. Let's see. Oh my goodness, there's a lot of... okay, let's see. They're short questions. They're not... And you know the theme. So the theme is being repeated. The mu'ala, the under the shaded area. So most of the things are repeated here. Okay. This is a question. Is it permissible to perform the tawaf uh, while there is a barrier between the Kaaba and a person who's performing the tawaf? Let's say when we did this same question before. There's construction happening and they covered the area surrounding the Kaaba so that workers can do the work between this wall and the Kaaba. So this is the Kaaba wall. This is the wall, prefabricate, whatever wall. In between, the workers are doing construction, this and that. So people, they can't see the Kaaba. Okay, so there's a barrier. So he says that there's no problem in it. It is permissible to do the tawaf with the existence of that barrier between the a person who's performing the tawaf and the Kaaba, even if that um, no ولا سيما إذا لم يكن الحائل um, so especially if the barrier was not so high in a way that it only prevented part of the Kaaba to be covered. Okay, so as long as especially if the barrier was not lofty enough to cover the Kaaba totally, so it covered the Kaaba partially. And this especially but previously we discussed this ruling that even if it covered the whole Kaaba, still you are doing tawaf at around the Kaaba. So what did you, so you mentioned previously from second floor, if they can Munda, that's trying to find out the level of the Kaaba. If you are doing tawaf from the second floor and you're above the level of the Kaaba, so you're not doing tawaf around the Kaaba, you're doing tawaf around the air above the Kaaba. So this surrounding is not confirmed. Circumambulation around the Kaaba. So, but down when there's barrier, the surrounding is applied. You are doing around the Kaaba. There's barrier, there are two barrier, three. You are doing tawaf around the Kaaba. Okay, behind the barrier is the Kaaba. So the aroundness is is applied here, but on the top floor you can see the Kaaba. Okay, it's not you can't see the Kaaba, but the level is above the Kaaba, the floor which in from which you find out that the level of the floor is above the Kaaba. So he says there's no problem. He can perform the tawaf if there was a barrier between the him and between the Kaaba, especially if the barrier did not cover except part of the Kaaba. هل يجوز طواف الصبي رعاية هل يجب في طواف so is it obligatory in the tawaf of a boy who has not reached the age of adolescence to to maintain the left arm towards the Kaaba? That means not to face the Kaaba, not to give back to the Kaaba. He says if the child was um, not discerning child, صبي غير المميز or مميز, he cannot distinguish between good and bad and evil and even in good and all those kind of things. إذا كان الصبي المميز غير المميز ممن يحمل, if the child was someone, if the non-discerning child was someone who is carried, then the left arm uh, direct into the Kaaba is not required. Why? Because when you're carrying a child in the hand, okay, his left arm will be this side and right arm will be this side, and you're because you're carrying your child in this hand, for example, but you can carry your child like this, okay, like that red Indian bag. You know, there's a red Indian bag in front you put, and you put the child in it. So he's doing the tawaf with you, and the right shoulder, left shoulder is towards the Kaaba. So that is you can do that. But let's say you did not have that red Indian bag or pouch or whatever, and you were carrying in hand like this. So when you carry in hand like this, his shoulders are ac- across, like your shoulder is like this, the child's shoulder is like this. So he said if it was some of if it was for the if the child was, if the non-discerning child was someone who's carried, then the requirement of the left shoulder facing the Kaaba would not be required. However, if the child was one of those who are walking, so on the basis of obligatory precaution, one should observe the right hand being facing the Kaaba as much as possible, he says. Question 49. إذا علم الطائف بأنه سيضطر, if someone who's performing the tawaf, He knows that he will be forced or compelled to get on a wheelchair during the tawaf. Maybe he might get dizzy, he might get this and that. So he knows that he will not be. And you know, Safa Marwa, optionally wheelchair is okay. In Tawaf, if the wheelchair is totally under your control, like the remote control chair, okay, remote control wheelchair, or something which is under your control, then you can do on wheelchair optionally. But if somebody is pushing you, we said say this is and he doesn't allow that unless if it was a case of necessity. So so he says here that somebody knew that during the middle of the tawaf, I'll need a wheelchair. Okay. So but I will not be able to find a wheelchair at that time when I will need. So can this person perform the tawaf on the wheelchair from the beginning before the case of necessity? So here's the thing. Let's try to understand. He knows that there'll be a case of necessity in the middle of the tawaf. He'll get tired after third round or something like that. He'll need a wheelchair at that time. And remember that muwala and consistency issues. So he will not be able to find a wheelchair in that 10 minutes. So what should he do? It is permissible for him to just from the beginning do the tawaf on the wheelchair which is not in your control. Somebody pushes you, even though under your command. We said say the Sistani Damadullah does not allow it unless if it was case of necessity, such as medical case or paralysis or whatever. He says in the answer, he should arrange the wheelchair from the beginning. Okay. And when he feels he's in need of it, he can sit on the wheelchair and then somebody pushes that. Okay. So this is the thing that he needs to arrange from the beginning, and take it with you, push it with you. Okay. Once you become tired, sit on it, and someone else will then and the guy of the wheelchair which is doing tawaf with you. Okay, so he knows that there will be time I will have to push. However, if he cannot arrange that from the beginning, and he had two options, either to perform the tawaf on the wheelchair from the beginning when there was not a case of necessity, or the option was either to use the wheelchair from the beginning or to delegate someone to perform the tawaf on his behalf. He says, no, then choose the wheelchair. If you can do the tawaf, why to delegate someone else? Okay. تعين الأول. Question number 50. Okay. Question number 50 says, after the tawaf, he realized that he had encountered invalidity of the wudu. Some of the things which validate the wudu, like breaking a wind, like sleeping, like um, urine drips came out suddenly, not used to, but or stool. He thought it was a gas and other things came out. Anyhow, the wudu became invalid. So during the tawaf, after the tawaf, he realized that during the tawaf, this kind of thing happened. His wudu became invalid. Okay, we know that then he has to get the wudu. If it was after the fourth round, get the wudu and continue. Before the fourth round, we said that there are several cases. He was compelled to, unintentionally came out, or no, he was in a mood to releasing it. So therefore, we have this guy. He did not know that it was before the fourth round or after the fourth round. So what is his ruling? Obviously, here there's a ruling. The general rule says whenever you doubt in a happening, okay, something happened, but you don't know it happened before or after. It happened 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. You say you will stretch the previous certainty and say it was not 4 o'clock, it was 5 o'clock. So the same thing here. Uh, the tawaf will be considered correct, okay? يبني على صحة طوافه. His tawaf will be considered correct. Why? Because he's doubting before or after, and this doubt came when? After the completion of the tawaf. He realized hadath happened, but it happened before or after. So he will consider the tawaf correct, except for that rounds which he knows for sure that his wudu was invalid. من الأشواط الثلاثة الأخيرة فيعيده. That means he will consider 4 rounds correct, because he's doubting. Entire tawaf? No. This thing happened after the completion of tawaf. So we will consider 4 rounds were okay, and then the remaining 3 rounds you were in hadath. Your wudu was invalid. So you will have to do your wudu and come back and do these 3 rounds. Okay. So his tawaf is correct until 4th round. And after 4th or 5th round, or say whenever he knows that here this event of invalidity happened. So what will be happen to the after? As long as after 4th round, the remaining 3 or remaining 2 or remaining 1 round, he will have to redo it, because this tawaf is only 4 rounds now. Question number 51. He doubts during the tawaf that did he lost. Remember the guy floating in the air, that did I lose my option, and I've been carried out or not? So what is the ruling? He doesn't know that. He felt that he's walking on air or something like that, you see, but he's not sure. And this during the tawaf, he's not sure that he has lost his option, or no, he has his option intact. So he says whatever rounds he did, because this doubt is not after completing. This doubt is during the tawaf. So he says whatever he performed from the tawaf, from the tawaf in the state of doubt, that will be invalid. So that means he has to go back and redo that doubtful phase. Okay, when the doubt started. So whatever he did in the doubtful phase will be invalid. He needs to redo it. Unless if the doubt was removed later on and he realized, no, I had fixed the problem that happened. It was not, no, I was walking. I was resisting, and yes, I felt that I was being carried out, but I was trying to resist, and I was just making my steps with the flow. Because they're carrying him and they're pushing him. So he's trying to make his steps also go, so that means it's like both being pushed and by himself also, like we explained in our previous session. Okay, so this is something which was about losing the option, and being carried with the crowd. He doubts. So we said that if he had done any area of tawaf in that kind of doubt, any portion of the tawaf, that portion is invalid. إذا أتى بشيء من الطواف في حال الشك لم يتزم. Whatever tawaf he did in that kind of doubtful situation, is not going to be sufficient, unless if later on the doubt became certainty, so he'll act based upon whatever the ruling was due to the certainty. Okay, question number 52. So basically, this question is again about the second floor. Remember the second floor, if you sleep and see the edge of your second floor, can you see the Kaaba? Okay, like for example, this is the, let me sing this one. So this is the Kaaba, okay? So if you sleep, this is the second floor. Okay. If you can see the Kaaba by lying down, by standing, you will see the Kaaba. Okay. So see, a little bit of the Kaaba is up. Then it will be okay. But if you don't see the Kaaba, like this is the second floor and this is the height of the Kaaba, you don't see it. So then you should not be performing tawaf from the second floor. But if it is in a way, the people, they say we can't see the Kaaba. The people, they say if you sleep like on the ground, you can see the Kaaba. But it needs to be from the second floor, not Mizanin. Mizanin is like this. You can see the Kaaba. But we are talking about the Mizanin means first floor. There's ground floor, there's first floor, Mizanian, and then there's this second floor. And then this rooftop. And then rooftop are divided also, I think, in two layers. But anyhow, the roof. So anyhow, so the question is about this. Okay, he's doubting that is the Kaaba above the second floor or not. So, or it's equal to. The question says equal to, see? Kaaba and this level equal to. It has to be above, not equal to. إذا كانت الكعبة, if the Kaaba was equal to second floor level, will the tawaf be valid from that floor? What if it was higher from the second floor? Okay. The level of the Kaaba is higher. But he was from those who are taken on the stretcher. Not, he doesn't do on the foot. So if you do on the foot, let me say, if you do on the foot, so you are still around the Kaaba. But let's say if somebody is carrying you on the stretcher, so stretcher is not, you are not now in the level of the Kaaba. You are above the level of the Kaaba. But they're carrying me, yes, but you need to be in the level of the Kaaba. Okay, regardless of the carrier on the stretcher. Before they used to do carry stretchers, now they're not there. But let's say if there was a kind of situation where you carried your dad on your shoulder and did the tawaf from the second floor. So that means your dad is now above the level of the Kaaba. You are with the, so you are like this Kaaba, you're walking and this Kaaba is in the same level with you, like it's above your level. But what about your dad? You're doing the tawaf for your dad, making the skinny. And I've seen like one guy his dad was very skinny, he was carrying his dad and doing the tawaf. I don't know, did I see it in the tawaf or after the tawaf? Anyhow, I've seen this kind of people wearing ihram. And one guy was carrying his mom. She was skinny. And yeah, they are getting a lot of reward, mashallah. So he says that both cases, if the Kaaba is if equal to, tawaf invalid. If the Kaaba is above the second floor, but the guy is carrying the one who's supposed to do tawaf, invalid. Question 53. Now, in spite of the debate, if you go to the Saudi Makkah, um, um, what they say, government website or municipality website, they have all the height of the Kaaba, height of the second floor, height of the first floor. All these things are there. Okay. In there, they have mentioned that it's high about the Kaaba. Okay. 18 centimeters. 18 centimeters, like one span, like about this is maybe 20 centimeters. So this much, one span higher. Okay. So this is the second floor, and this is this much is higher. Now what happened? Some of the shuyukh, they said, we tried to measure, we could not see the second floor is in the level, it's above. So they were argued. There was a counter argument. They said, but the government website says that it's 18 floor above. They said yes, but this floor, the beginning of the floor may be 18 centimeters, like it says centimeters. But the floor by itself is thick more than 18 centimeters, according to these respected scholars. Okay. Um, so they say that the floor, the beginning of the floor, yes, is 18, but the floor itself is thick. Okay. And has tiles, and then after that the height has been raised. So there's a big sandwich between the beginning of the ceiling of lower floor and the floor of upper floor. So the roof itself is like a thick more than 18 centimeter. This is according to one of the respected shiur. Saudi government, they have everything in that it's above the 18. So anyhow, it's your responsibility to find out if you have a mood to do the tawaf from the second floor, obligatory tawaf. But then you have to quickly come down from the second floor. Beside Maqam Ibrahim, there are some staircase. You have to come quickly down and go on the ground floor and pray 2 rakat of tawaf behind Maqam Ibrahim before your 9 minutes is consumed. So the question 53 says, if one was satisfied, let's say this respected sheikh is not satisfied, but someone was satisfied. He did his calculation. He lied down on the on the on the floor like this. You have to be exactly in the level of the floor. Okay. And nowadays they have measuring devices and the camera and everything. So then you can see, if you see Kaaba is above, then you can do the tawaf from the second floor. If not, you can't do. So he says that if somebody is satisfied that someone is satisfied that the Kaaba is 18 centimeters higher than the floor of the second floor. Okay. Then it is sufficient to do tawaf from there. However, for Salat al-Tawaf, it's another issue. Question number 54. What is the ruling of the Umrah of a girl? She looks behind during her tawaf and she's heedless about the prohibition of it, that impermissibility of it. It's not permissible. She's heedless. She forgot. She's doesn't know. Anyhow, she looked all that, because you can look at side, but not look all the way like exorcist behind. Okay, so therefore the whole head goes there. So therefore, will her tawaf be okay? He says no, because you can't look behind while you are doing tawaf. لا تصح. Um, he says it will his tawaf, her tawaf will be invalid, even if it was she did not look all the way back. She went all the way sidewise in a way that she had a horse eye or something like that, that she could see the behind. Like sometimes if you will see, you'll all the way twist your head, you can see behind. I can see behind. Okay. So um, it will not be valid. The tawaf will not be valid, even if the head was twisted little bit in a way that the twist of the neck was in a way that she could see the behind in general on the basis of obligatory precaution. So for him, it's not valid because she looked behind during her tawaf and she was heedless about it. So he said, if she looked behind like this, serious. He says, even if she looked like that on the side and twisted her neck only, but the behind was obvious on the basis of obligatory precaution. So looking behind, that's serious. Looking side and behind is appearing, then that is obligatory precaution. Question number 55. Okay, so we have two questions left, 55 and 56. Let's check 55. I was 17 years old. My father took me to Umrah Mufrada. During the Tawaf, I raced my father. I went ahead of my father, certain footsteps. However, I returned to him opposite way, like he turned around and came back to his father, out of unawareness from me. And then I did the tawaf with my father, completed my tawaf. My father did not inform me that I have to repeat that round. Now I am 22 years old, married, and I have um, I have two sons, and I am planning to go for Hajj this year. So, what is the ruling of my Hajj and my marriage? Because he did Tawaf and Nisa also. And so, if the Tawaf of Hajj was invalid, or Tawaf of Umrah Mufrada he went. So, if Tawaf of Umrah was invalid, Salat al-Tawaf is invalid, Salat al-Tawaf invalid, Sa'i invalid, domino effect, Tawaf in Nisa invalid. So, he says, what will be the ruling of my upcoming Hajj and my marriage? Okay. So he answers إذا لم تقصد الطواف الخطوات التي كررتها صح طوافك. The steps which you repeated, okay? So he went ahead. So now what happens? His father is here. They were doing tawaf together. So the son went ahead. He came back and then he joined his father. So he said, if you did not double made this both intention as tawaf, then it shouldn't be a problem. If you did not make an intention of tawaf in the steps you repeated, he did the tawaf, then he came back and repeated few steps. So he said one of them, okay, should have been done without the intention of tawaf. That means the second one, because the first one he did intention of tawaf. Second one, he was just going like accompanying his father until he continued from wherever the tawaf he had reached. He's 17 years old. But 17 years old can also be unaware about these things, and they might not have even realized it. So he says that the extra step were repeated twice. Once he went here, then he came back, then he repeated. So this repeated steps, if he did not make intention of tawaf, then there is no problem. His tawaf will be valid. وكذا إذا قصدت qasadta tawaf. Even if you had intended. So the answer is to that person. If you did not intend, make the intention of tawaf in those footsteps which you repeated, okay, which you repeated second time. That first time he went, and the second time he repeated with his father. Then your tawaf will be valid, and there's nothing upon you. Also, if you had made intention of tawaf in it, okay, so that's clear. If no intention, khalas, you did one tawaf. However, if you made intention that this is my tawaf with my father, then that extra stuff done in the tawaf, if it was done out of unintentional unawareness, unintentional ignorance, then your tawaf will be correct. However, if you doubted, are my these rounds correct or not correct, these few steps which I took it twice. If you doubted and you did not ask and you did not try to fix, you had a doubt, then you are intentional ignorance. Okay? You are intentional ignorance. However, he says, if you doubt, were you intentional ignorance? Did you have intentional ignorance or unintentional ignorance? Then your tawaf will be also okay. So he's trying to give him three possibilities of tawaf being correct, one possibility of tawaf being incorrect. Possibility number one, he repeated the tawaf, those steps without intention of tawaf. Correct. Possibility number two, no, he made the intention of tawaf. So there is an extra in it in the tawaf, but this extra is out of unintentional ignorance, unintentional awareness. Okay. So how if it was intentional? He doubted, he heard, he needs to fix, he needs to ask, he needs to verify, he needs to validate, he needs to do, and he did not. Then only his tawaf is invalid and the sa'i is invalid and everything is invalid. But so these are two possibility of the validity, one only. So what is the fourth one? Fourth one, doubt. I don't know whether I'm an ignorant, unintentional or intentional. And he says, if you had doubt that your unawareness was out of ignorance, was intentional or unintentional. I don't know. I don't know. Did I really think at that time and I did not ask or not? I don't remember. I don't know. So he says, then your tawaf is correct. So four possibilities, only one possibility is invalidates his tawaf, which is if he knew, if he doubted, never asked about this. Oh, come on, who 90% of the people will not even realize that I made an intention, I did not make an intention. Okay. But again, Said has to tell tell the religious responsibility to this person. Maybe he was a Hausa student, 17 years old, and maybe he knew, and maybe he knew means doubt happened, and he knew that extra tawaf should not be done, and doubt happened that is this extra or not, and he neglected his doubt. Then all the ramifications and all the umrah and hajj, and so he's still stuck in his ihram of the 5 years old ihram. He did not get exit the state of ihram. Because if your tawaf is invalid, your taqsir is invalid. Why? Because your sa'i is invalid. Because it's all domino effect. Then you are still in the state of ihram. And what about the children? I got two children. Are they illegitimate, no, 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 no. This called, there are ways, because you did not know, when you were having relations with your wife and it's your wife, you did not realize, or you did not know that she's still prohibit upon you. So there'll be kafara, there'll be this, there'll be certain things. There's no kafarat out of unawareness or unknowingness. So therefore, the children are halal even if it was intentional ignorance. Okay, children will not be affected. Children are your, and they're halal, and no problem in it. You did not commit any adultery or something like that. When you came to her, she was still your wife, but you did not know that you're still in the state of ihram. Final question. Again, the question is about the mizanian and the roofed area of Tawaf around the Masjid al-Haram. So he says there's no problem in performing the Tawaf as long as the Kaaba is above the second floor. So he says, as for the ground floor, Tawaf is okay. Covered area. We're talking about the covered area now, not the open area. So as for the ground floor, the Tawaf will be correct, even if it was optionally. Yes, it is an obligatory precaution to not to miss the consistency between the Tawaf and Salat of Tawaf. So if he is not able to perform, observe that consistency, and offering the Tawaf of Salat of Tawaf behind Ibrahim was could have been performed easily. Okay, as you have to be as close as possible to Maqam Ibrahim. Uh, However, coming down from the top floor to the lower floor would take more than 10 minutes. Then, based on the obligatory precaution, one should offer the tawaf in the open area. So coming down from the ground floor, remember ground floor Mizanian, coming down from there to be as close as possible behind Maqam Ibrahim, it would take more than 10 minutes. So basis on the obligatory precaution, do the tawaf in the open area so that you don't miss that consistency between tawaf and Salat of Tawaf. So in the case of the gap between Tawaf and Salat of Tawaf, say the Sistani mentions 10 minutes, like here, 10 minutes on the basis of obligatory precaution, clearly mentioned. But the consistency in between the rounds of the Tawaf, that was our problem last night, that he is not clear in his manasik. Okay. So we said that once if the upper area was about the Kaaba, one span, which is like 18 to 20 kilometers. Okay. However, he was not able to maintain the consistency between Tawaf and Salat of Tawaf for coming down from the second floor or first floor, whatever floor where the Tawaf is valid, to down to pray a Salat behind Maqam Ibrahim, then on basis of obligatory precaution, he needs to do the tawaf in the open area. لم يمكن مراعاة الطواف بين الصلاة فإنه لا يصح الطواف عليه. You cannot do the tawaf there on the basis of obligatory precaution. Because yes, if the Kaaba is high, you can do tawaf. But what about the salat behind Maqam Ibrahim and it's your wajib tawaf? So you should not be doing wajib tawaf on the basis of obligatory precaution. Now, can someone come less than 10 minutes? Yes, if there is not that much crowd. Once you finish the tawaf, there is staircase. You come down from the staircase, and maybe less than 10 minutes you can be behind Maqam Ibrahim, pray there. There are times when it's severe crowd, that's when coming down might take 15 minutes to half an hour. So this is all optionally. The whole idea is tawaf on the top floor. The whole idea is that you are able to perform the tawaf and salat of tawaf optionally behind Maqam Ibrahim in less than 10 minutes. If not, on the basis of obligatory precaution, you cannot do tawaf in the ground floor covered area. You cannot do tawaf on the top floor, Mizanian floor, or the upper floor. If you are not able to come behind Maqam Ibrahim as close, because even ground floor, the covered area is far from Maqam Ibrahim. So for you to come there, it might take more than 10 minutes. So if you are able to come, so let's rephrase, it's lengthy, let's make it very short. What about the tawaf in the ground floor covered area, which is far from Maqam Ibrahim, or Mizanian floor, or top floor if the Kaaba was one span higher? You got the scenario? Now let's give the rule. Be it top floor, which is lower one span from the Kaaba, be it Mizanian, be it, the whole idea is, will you be able to offer salat behind Maqam Ibrahim as close as possible, keeping Maqam Ibrahim in front, in less than 10 minutes from wherever you are? And you are doing optional tawaf, you are not compelled to do tawaf there. You just enjoyed doing a tawaf longer rounds, and you have to enjoy the spirituality. So if you are able to come down and do the tawaf behind Maqam Ibrahim as close as possible, less than 10 minutes, then you're okay. If not, then on the basis of obligatory precaution, you need to redo your tawaf down. Or you need to, if you know that you will not be able to, you need to do the tawaf in the open area. That is segment one, which is a person was not compelled to, there was no necessity, there was no sickness, it was option. Now what if there was no option for him? He had to do the tawaf from, like previously mentioned, the tawaf area was packed, they closed it. You cannot go in the open area, you have to do tawaf from the closed area. That's number. Or no, you have a wheelchair, they don't allow wheelchair from in the open area, it has to be in the Mizanian, in the roofed area. So what about those people who are on the wheelchair? اوكي، هذا في حال الاختيار. Second segment is وأما من لا. However, if one was not allowed to do the tawaf in the open area, such as sick one who is on wheelchair, then it is permissible for him to do the tawaf there, and there is no problem in the consistency being disrupted, like more than 10 minutes, 15 minutes, okay, uh, and he can come down and perform the tawaf behind, salat of tawaf behind Maqam Ibrahim, and بين الطواف والصلاة عن اضطرار, okay, out of due to the necessity, okay, due to the necessity and compulsion. So he's not able to do tawaf on the ground floor. That's fine. But you are able to come down, even if take longer time, but do the tawaf down. What if he's not able to bring the wheelchair and his elderly down? Uh, yeah. وإذا لم يحرز, we mentioned this in general. I mean, I rearranged the ruling in a simplified way. It's so much talk written here. So we mentioned about the height. Um, yeah, we mentioned. However, and this is difficult scenario. If the Kaaba was top about, if the third floor is top higher than the Kaaba, obviously you can't perform the tawaf on that floor. However, if you're compelled to, the wheelchairer were all pushed back all the way on the top. That means even in the high season of Hajj, like after the Mina, Muzdalifah, when people they come back, the ground floor is packed. The first floor is packed. The second is packed. I mean, wherever the Kaaba is high packed, the only place available for wheelchair all the way on the top. So in this case, he said one should, on the basis of obligatory precaution, okay? No, this is not obligatory precaution, it's a fatwa. Do the tawaf from up, plus someone from down should be given a delegation to do the tawaf on behalf of that person as in representation. Yeah. So someone need to do the tawaf. So the whole idea is the salat behind Maqam Ibrahim. The salat behind Maqam Ibrahim needs to be done. If somebody is on wheelchair or compelled, then they can come down and do the salat behind Maqam Ibrahim. So at this point, we have completed the what's happening here? Yeah. We completed the obligations of tawaf. In our upcoming session, we will do the interruption of the tawaf. Okay, the cutting of the tawaf. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.